And we would always like to start with a reflection and a moment of silence. And at the same time, we're also looking at ways in which we can begin to speak and give utterances that honor our infinite creator and source by the names we choose, also honoring those that came before us. And I'd like for persons to be really clear that when we speak of ancestral veneration, we're speaking of it from a place of how do you build legacy? How do you strengthen how persons see themselves in regard to sovereignty, liberation, power, spiritual centeredness, divine righteousness, or more appropriately for those that may understand this a little better, truth, justice, order, reciprocity, balance, divine righteousness, and harmony. That one. And in an ancestral space linked to us speaks, we refer to that as the principles linked within and imbued in the divine principle of Ma'at. And I encourage persons to stem from that space and that root as we begin to have a short versation here this evening, because there's so many different observances as were shared earlier in this particular month. There's a lot of transition. There's a lot of changes, a lot of huh, whirlwinds. This is a time where persons have just completed observances, commemorations, celebrations on the 139th anniversary of the birth of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey of Jamaica. I think it's really important that persons also look true inside of themselves, inside of their vibrational spaces of shifts, that they begin to share how they look at life, strength, and prosperity through various lenses. I think it's too that this is a good opportunity for persons to speak of, when we talk about Marcus Messiah Garvey, we're talking about the formulator, the lead, alongside a very powerful circle and sphere of not only tens of thousands of delegates representing the Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League in the early portions of the 20th century, 1914 moving forward, but also to the millions upon millions of registered, dues paying, engaging, active organizers and members around the globe. I think it's very important, and I encourage persons that are tuned in, that desire to learn more, that they begin to look at entities that are available. For example, there are if you look at the African American Legacy Network, and I encourage persons just go to legacynetwork.tv, and you'll be able to see and learn a little bit more in a short amount of time of the work, the contributions, the significant research, the significant examples, the significant organizational efforts, and the development and establishment